I never woke up one day and thought to myself, I don't want any friends. I've never been opposed to having friends. It's just something that I didn't really think about that much. I've always been in situations like school, college, different places where I've had to interact with people, and I thought that that was basically kind of like having friends. Like, for example, if I was walking back after school, I might walk with what I thought was a friend, someone that I knew, and we would maybe go to the bus stop together or spend some time together, and I thought that was friendship. But the truth was that I didn't actually have any real concept of what a relationship actually was. And when I really think about it, every person that maybe I called a friend didn't really know me. And because they didn't really know me, really there isn't that really true and deep connection. I think that a big contributor to me not having friends is my inability to keep in touch. I have relationships with people inside of my mind, and to me, I think I'm relating to the person, and a lot of time can go by and I don't realize that I'm not keeping in touch, I'm not phoning or not contacting the person. And when someone else doesn't contact me, I don't really notice it or see it as a problem. So I'm not going to hold anyone accountable for not contacting me. I'm not going to follow up on it. And when I don't keep in touch, what I found is that it's caused people a lot of offense, because I think it's something that they take personally when really it's not personal at all. It's just that unless there's a reason for me to contact someone, I'm probably not going to contact them. And usually the reason to contact someone is to see how they are. With me, I presume everyone's okay unless they tell me otherwise. So if someone was to contact me and tell me like they're not in a good place or something's going on, if I care about that person, I would listen and I would be concerned. And if I could find a solution to fix that situation or to help them to fix that situation, I'll be willing to do that. But other than problems emerging, I don't really see that much point in keeping in touch. I think it goes back to not being known, because maybe if I had more of a commonality with other people, that I would have more of a motive to connect on perhaps shared interests. But at the same time, I'm quite happy to pursue my shared interests alone. As I said, I've never been against having a friend or making friends. It's just that I haven't really employed the necessary effort that is required to keep or to maintain a relationship with another person. I think that in my mind, there's always the thought that in the future, I'm going to make friends, and I always saw it as a possibility, always saw it as something that was on the horizon, but something that was never fulfilled. Because I didn't have a problem with it not being fulfilled, I think that it was never a priority that I was going to go out of my way to invest time, to make friends, and to try to make an effort of any kind to maintain that friendship. I thought I was having friendships, but when I think about it now, I really didn't have any concept of what a relationship was, and I didn't really have any concept therefore of what a friendship was, or any kind of understanding of what role a friendship could serve in my life. I could understand like how I could benefit other people with my problem solving skills. And I noticed that people, they like someone who listens to them, and I found I could learn a lot from listening to people, and I can have genuine empathy for people's plight, so I could see why people would maybe want to form a connection with me. But it's difficult for me to see or find the motivation for forming a connection with other people. And I think that is the reason why I don't have any friends. Another important aspect of making friends and why perhaps I'm not motivated to do that, and I talked about when people have problems that I can be very invested in helping them to solve those problems. And this is linked to being schizoid, is the fact that I can really sort of absorb other people's energies, and I can really take on board other people's plight. So as I was talking about the empathy, but to a point where I can run things over in my mind, like and I won't stop until I get to the bottom of it. Like I have like an obsessive streak, and also I analyze things that have happened a lot, like kind of like I'd say like compulsively. So how that manifests is that if I have an interaction with someone, afterwards I'm going to be analysing it extensively, repeatedly, and it takes up a lot of my mental energy, and it takes up a lot of room inside of my mind, and it doesn't leave so much space for me to think about other things that I might have been working on or investing my time in. This is like called hyperpermeability. So I have to be very selective about who I let in, because once someone comes into my mind, it's like they don't leave. As I was talking about before, I have relationships with people inside of my mind, and so once I form some sort of interest in someone, or just basically having any kind of like interaction, especially if the interaction runs into any depth, if they open up to me about themselves, it can feel very intrusive to my psyche that the concept of the person is now living inside my head with me. I think because the concept's with me, it also makes me less likely to engage for more physical interaction, since a physical interaction starts the process of like hyper obsessive thinking. I can switch off from it. It's not like it's constant 24/7, but it will come in and out of my mind. Usually it's related to understanding something about that interaction, or about what a person said, how they said it, why they said it, what that means, what that's related to, what that's linked to, what the potential consequences of that could be, etc., etc. So because I value my inner space and my mental space, I have to really be selective about who I interact with and the amount to which I interact with someone, the degree. So that is a kind of strange aspect of schizoid functioning. Not all schizoids function in this way, but that's something that personally affects me, and I think it's due to the high level of ideation and mental activity that I have. So because I live in my head, everything's in my head, all the people I know are in my head, and everything is like a psychological construct, and it can get very deep, it can get very intense, and it can be quite energy consuming. And I think that's an aspect of the schizoid condition that's not often talked about, it's not necessarily about not liking people. I mean, I can like people, and I think people can like me, and I quite like people that like me. And so there's definitely an interest and there is care for other people, but there's also boundaries and there's also like limits to what I can take on board relationally. So when it comes to relationships, there is just a restricted amount of space that I'm prepared to give other people, a restricted amount of time, etc., etc., etc. Not being able to form attachment and bonds with other people is a big factor of why I don't have friends. I can feel very connected to someone in the moment to some degree. I think it's more of a psychological connection than an emotional or feeling connection. It's like more like I'm seeing things from their perspective. But because of the lack of object constancy, after we part ways, they'll be inside my head, but there won't be any feeling of emotional attachment or emotional bonding. There's nothing that makes me feel like I have an emotional connection or any sort of emotional needs towards that person. It's like another person can't really fulfill any sort of emotional needs within me. Like, I don't have any emotional needs when it comes to friendship. And I think that is a big part of the social bonding process with most people who form friendships. As I said before, there's a chance that I could make a connection based on shared interest, but the lack of attachment is definitely a big part of why I don't have friends. So I think really I've explained the main reasons. This might be a topic I visit again because I think it can run into a lot of depth, and when you go into specific types of relationships and specific situations and circumstances, there's a lot of different angles you can look at this from. But in a nutshell, that's the reason why I don't have friends.